Number 8. Chris and Christine. A young woman and her boyfriend went on a murder spree in Houston, Texas during the summer of 2003. Their targets featured some of the girl's supposed close friends. 17-year-old Christine Paolilla and her older boyfriend Chris Snyder killed 4 young adults on July 18th. While growing up, Christine had a very rough childhood. At an early age, her drug addict father died, and not long after she was diagnosed with a condition that makes it difficult to grow any body hair, alopecia. Along with this, in school she was constantly teased by kids who would pull off her wigs and make fun of the way she looked. However, things changed in high school. For some reason Christine didn't fully understand, 2 of the most popular girls at her high school befriended her. Before long, she had a makeover and was also among the it crowd. But there was still a darker side to her life she was hiding from her new friends, Rachel Colorudis and Tiffany Rao. Christine started dating Chris around this time, and their relationship was far from perfect. The two seemed obsessed with each other in a toxic, unhealthy way and would constantly fight. Chris admitted that he was terrified of his lover since she would often hit him if she got jealous for any reason. The night of the murders, Christine's friends and some others were targeted. The victims' bodies were severely disturbed. Over 40 bullets were shot that night, and police described the scene as overkill. Let's just say the crime scene would scare even the toughest of cops for a lifetime. For years, no one suspected the true killers. After all, why would anyone think a 17-year-old girl was capable of such horror? As time went on, Chris and Christine eventually separated, with Chris ending up in jail over an unrelated charge and Christine getting married to a man named Justin Rott. On the anniversary of the killings, a news story was put out about the murders. In either a swing of guilt or pride, Christine admitted her past crimes to Justin. When her and Chris's actions broke news headlines, there was a rightful uproar. Christine was given a life sentence, while her former lover opted to end his own life instead of serving his time behind bars. Number 7. Taken too young. In 2017, 54-year-old Aubrey Trail and his younger girlfriend Bailey Boswell brutally murdered 24-year-old Sydney Loof in Nebraska. The couple claimed that the young hardware store clerk came to Trail's apartment believing she'd be part of a consensual group sex session with 2 other women. However, that's not how the situation played out. In reality, Sydney had gone out for a date with someone she met online, but she wouldn't make it back alive. In court, Trail claimed his girlfriend brought Sydney to his home to recruit her. Apparently, the couple had been up to some strange business which included cult activities. Trail confessed that he didn't think they could let Loof go without her telling others about what had happened. Without going into too many details about what the woman may have witnessed, Trail simply said, "I have done some terrible things in my life." On December 4th of that year, a little less than a month after Sydney was reported missing, her dismembered remains were discovered. They were found inside old garbage bags that had been left in a random Nebraskan field. After confessing to his actions, Trail claimed his girlfriend Bailey had nothing to do with the actual murder. Actually, he screamed this out as he tried to cut his own throat in the courtroom. For his part in the murder of Sydney Loof, Trail received a death sentence, while his lover, despite his claims of her innocence, was sentenced to life in prison. Number 6. Sister envy. In many cases, siblings become your earliest friends that stay with you for a lifetime, but not everyone has a good relationship with their brothers and sisters. On September 26, 2022, 21-year-old Fatia Marzan from Florida and her younger sister Saima Marzan got into an argument that would change their family forever. Early that morning, the girls started fighting in their room. Apparently, 20-year-old Saima had been talking to Fatia's boyfriend without her sister knowing. The two had been messaging through the popular video game known as Valorant. When this news reached Fatia, she immediately became hysterically furious. She found one message her man sent Saima saying he was in love with her. This news would have been a huge shock to anyone, but it wasn't the first time Fatia's boyfriend had been a little too close with her sister. For about a year, she said Saima's been trying to steal her boyfriend. Fatia had expressed her feelings many times about this strange relationship to both Saima and her man, but nothing seemed to improve. The boyfriend kept flirting back. After confronting her sister yet again and not getting anywhere productive this time, Fatia pulled out a knife she had kept hidden in the closet. A few weeks before, she bought a dagger-style knife set online without telling anyone. With the weapon in hand, she attacked Saima, stabbing her straight in the heart multiple times. Later that night, Fatia called the authorities and owned up to what she did. At the moment, she is being held in custody at an Orange County jail cell awaiting trial dates. Number 5. Addict. The bodies of two individuals, Maddie Durden Hollenby and Benjamin Green, were found together on August 27, 2021 in Kettering, Ohio. One of them had been stabbed and killed, while the other had a self-inflicted wound to their neck. It was a classic but gruesome case of a murder-suicide. Benjamin was a complicated 41-year-old man who was known by many to be extremely misogynistic and a borderline sex addict. This personality conflicted with the fact that he was also married with 3 children. Someone who formerly knew him said he straight up treated all women like they were his personal property. He was basically a walking red flag. Contrary to Benjamin, Maddie was beloved by everyone who knew her. Both family and friends of the young 22-year-old say she was just as beautiful on the inside as she was on the outside. The marketing executive was talented and creative and was just starting out in her career with so much potential. It's believed that the two had been seeing each other romantically for about a year before this incident. Police went to the site where the bodies were found after someone called and asked for a wellness check on Maddie. Benjamin's motive for killing his young lover before turning the knife on himself is unknown, but this is an extremely tragic case for the loved ones of both parties involved. What's the worst thing you've ever done to gain the attention of someone you were interested in? Let us know in the comments below. And while you're at it, hit that subscribe button. Number 4. COVID cover-up. In April 2020, during the early stages of the COVID-19 pandemic in Florida, 43-year-old David Anthony killed his 51-year-old estranged wife, Gretchen. She had been missing for a few weeks and no one had actually seen her in person. What's weird is that her loved ones were still getting text messages from Gretchen's phone saying nothing was wrong. She was just in the hospital getting treated after catching COVID. This didn't sit well with many who knew her though, and soon enough, David was arrested. Around the time of Gretchen's disappearance, her neighbor remembered hearing strange screaming coming from the woman's home. When police investigated, they realized that security cameras had been taken down from many of the walls. However, investigators called the company behind the devices and were able to get footage of that morning. They saw a strange man waiting outside the home on Gretchen's patio. After a struggle, authorities were able to get David to admit where he hid his wife's body. He had taken her remains a few miles from the house he killed her in and left her in some grass behind a Walmart. This discovery was months after the initial crime, but the victim's family could finally get some sense of comfort knowing their loved one's body was back in good hands. As for David's sentence, he'll be rotting away in prison for quite some time. He's not scheduled to be released until 2058, but hopefully that'll be the rest of his life. Number 3. GoFundMe. A couple from New Jersey were caught in a GoFundMe scheme when they claimed to raise money for a homeless man, only to keep it for themselves. In the past few years, videos online featuring selfless acts of philanthropy have gone viral. Whether it's the insane acts done by popular YouTuber Mr. Beast, where he throws millions of dollars into helping others, or the simpler content of someone being a good Samaritan and paying for another's groceries, you've likely seen it done. Many praise these acts of service, while others think it's strange and selfish to put those in need on film for views and admiration. In 2018, one couple was put on blast after allegedly trying to help a homeless man get some extra cash. Mark D'Amico and Caitlin McClure from New Jersey were accused of stealing over $400,000 out of GoFundMe donations. Johnny Bobbitt was homeless when he gave his last bit of cash to Caitlin when her vehicle ran out of gas while she was driving on the highway. After news of this selfless act got out, the story went viral online and across many platforms. With all this attention, Caitlin and Mark decided to set up a donation page to pay Johnny back for what he did. The GoFundMe drew in hundreds of thousands of dollars with donors from all over the world. This would have been great news if only the couple didn't steal out of the account and use the money to buy themselves luxury vacations, an expensive brand new BMW, and much more. When Johnny found out about this, he was rightfully upset. He filed a lawsuit against the pair, but they clapped back, saying the formerly homeless man just used the cash to fuel his drug addiction. Later in court, though, it was revealed that all three of the individuals involved in this case likely fabricated the whole situation in order to draw money out of the kindness of others. For this sick act of indecency, Mark was given 5 years in prison, Caitlin will have to serve 1 year, and Johnny has to enroll in a state drug court program while waiting for a further sentence. It just goes to show that some people will take advantage of any situation and that you shouldn't always believe what you read online. Number 2. Twilight. A young girl and her boyfriend went on a killing spree after getting into a fight with her mother in April of 2016 in Spalding, Lincolnshire. The Twilight book and movie franchise has gathered avid fans from across the globe. This story about vampires conjures up a romantic fantasy in the minds of many young girls who consume it. Some might even call it their favorite movie. But when would you say is a good time to watch it? On Halloween? Valentine's Day? Or maybe after committing a murder? This story involves the latter. On April 14, 2016, 14-year-olds Kim Edwards and Lucas Markham were in a whirlwind of a relationship, the epitome of intense young love. After an argument with her mother, Kim turned to her boyfriend and asked for help killing her and her younger sister. The boy happily agreed. Lucas went upstairs in the Edwards household and brutally killed his girlfriend's family. Then he casually came downstairs to grab something to eat before he and Kim cuddled up on the couch to watch Twilight. Apparently, they also had intercourse in the wake of the crime. Kim had an older sister named Mary who lived somewhere else at the time of the murders. Mary says that she always had suspicions that her sister's new boyfriend was a bad influence. She even said they were a ticking time bomb together. Apparently, the young couple had tried to commit the murders 3 times before being successful, which shows that this wasn't just a spur-of-the-moment decision. The teenagers had been thinking about killing the family for a while. When Kim and Lucas were arrested, the English court gave them each life sentences for what they'd done. Psych evaluations were conducted because it was difficult for authorities to believe 2 regular teenagers could do something so horrible. Unfortunately, no mental discrepancies were uncovered besides a possible personality disorder in Kim. Number 1. Brittany Wilson. Buckle up because this might be one of the wildest Christmas stories you've ever heard. On Christmas Eve 2021, 32-year-old Brittany Wilson and her fiancé, 34-year-old Harrison Foster, were enjoying their night together, getting festive at their Cape Girardeau, Missouri home. These festivities included taking some meth to really get into the holiday spirit, but the drugs started to mess with Brittany's mind. At some point during her meth trip, the mother of 2 took a sword and stabbed her unsuspecting lover. According to what she told the police, she thought there were other beings living inside Harrison's body and that she had to get them out. The woman also claimed to have harvested pieces of other people's bodies as well. These crazy ramblings were all admitted after Brittany called the authorities on herself and told them what she did. When 911 showed up, they found her in front of her home in Missouri covered in blood with the sword lying nearby. Before killing Harrison, Brittany posted a meme to her Facebook account about having multidimensional experiences. To top everything off, the insane woman, likely still influenced by meth, had a bright, shining smile in her arrest photo. Her sentencing is unclear, but she was charged with first-degree murder for killing her fiancé. One of the saddest parts about this story is that 2 young children lost both a mother and a father figure just 1 day before Christmas. Thanks for watching today's video. Which of these stories shocked you the most? Let us know in the comments below, and be sure to subscribe to see more. We'll see you next time on Bad Badger.